Hello, 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 and we are live, and we are going to be working on aliasnerd.com, the application once again. I worked on it last weekend and implemented a couple of the last little features I needed, like the search and a like button. But I wasn't entirely happy with the like button that I did. Um, it requires the user to be signed in. It requires the likes are managed through the user model, which both of those things I'm not entirely pleased with. I really don't want I want this thing to be accessible for everybody. Like I keep doing some things with the application, and every time I'm done doing it, I feel like it is um, you know, containing all the good stuff inside or behind some sort of a wall, like the user wall or the subscribe wall. And that's not what I want. I want this to be for everybody. I want people to be able to watch these videos and learn from them and only contribute back if they feel they got something out of it, right? So, and I want them to be able to like the videos without having to give me their information, like create a user account and stuff. I just want that communication to be there sort of upfront for free, everything. So I'm going to redo the like button and actually have it so we can like on more than one thing like videos, projects, and the entire application itself. And I'm also going to utilize a new model class to do that. And the model class will be sort of a app-wide configuration model class that I can use for many other things too, like um, I don't know, just the video to be displayed on the front page or different configurations for the home screen and all kinds of stuff I can add to this. So that's what I want to work on today. So let's get right into it. I'm going to be using a gem called acts as votable. Pretty sure it's called, yeah, acts as votable. But we'll get to that in a bit. First, let's do a model for this. So I'm going to run Rails G model and create a model called what should I call it? I never actually thought about this. Um, I could call it config, maybe, or I could call it, yeah, I might as well just call it config, or no, because if I want to vote on something, it's not going to be vote on config. It's going to be vote on, can I just call it alias nerd, I guess? I'm actually going to search something because creating a model this way creates one that we can create many of. I wonder if there's a different way of doing, let's see here, Rails model single. Um, not singleton. Let's see here. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. So I'll just keep it simple here. So we'll call it the model will just be called alias nerd. So this is going to be settings and different configurations for the whole thing. Um, what will I need here? Let's see. Okay, I'm going to have something called live stream. This will be a boolean, and wonder what else. I'm trying to think if I need anything else on here. For now, I'm just going to leave it as this. I can change this later. For now, this is fine. So it's going to create this model and a migration file for it. So I'm going to go in and access this. So let's go over to the migration, and I'm going to go up and modify it slightly. So create alias nerds. So this will have a default. So null is false and default is false. And I don't need a index because it's only going to be one, I think, for now. So for now, that's all I need. Good. So let's quit out of here and run rake db migrate. So I have absolutely no way of creating this. I have no controller or anything. This is just, for now, this is just a very basic model that I want to be able to access. So um, I do have a server running probably. So that we're just going to quit all that. Um, we have guard running. We don't have a server running. So Rails S for this. So that's the server. That's going to be my test. That's guard. Okay, so let's run. So that ran that. So let's do Rails C console, and we'll just create one of these. So we can do. Whoops. I think it's just called this. Dot first. Oh shit. Shit. So I couldn't call it alias nerd because that's the actual module. Damn it. Okay, so should have called it just config. It would have made a lot more sense. So I think instead of generate, there is one called destroy. So we're just going to do a couple things here just to make sure that I don't screw this up. We're going to roll back. Let's do two things. Yep. Roll back migration. DB rollback, step one. So we'll do that. We'll do rake, well, exit. We'll do rake db rollback step equals 1. I think that's what it is. Whoops. While that's happening, I'm just going to do Rails undo. Is destroy or D. Okay. So that's done. Now we're going to Rails D model alias nerd. I think that's what I called it. Okay, so now we'll do that all over again. Rails G model. We'll call it config. Config nerd, just so it doesn't conflict with the config if there is a config module. Okay, so config nerd, perfect. Sounds good. We need to create that migration again. That's easy. Go back into there, go back into migrate, and create config nerd. Okay, so now we're just going to do t.boolean, and this is live null, whoops, is false and default is false. So we need to just go back here and fix this. Perfect. Okay, so now let's rake run this. Rake db migrate. And then we can go in and create that again, see if it works. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to do Rails C console to create our config nerd. So I'm just going to do config nerd. So we don't have one. So we can do dot new. We can do create. Good. I'm pretty sure. So if we get the first one, pretty sure it's been saved. Yeah, it's inserted in. Okay, so we have one now. Now we can do Vim, and let's go into the guard file for a second. And we're going to implement our voting. So, not the guard file, the gem file, sorry. And in here, we're going to, just checking to see, I'm pretty sure I haven't used it yet. No. Okay, so just before that, let's go into here and do a git status. So we did the config nerd, so we'll do git add git commit added the model class for config nerd. Git push. Okay. Now we'll push that up, and let's go get the access votable right here. So let's grab rubygems.org acts as votable. Copy this, and we'll come over here, and I think we still have the, yep. So in here, we're going to create a comment, use for voting. And access votable, good, save that, and we can run bundle. That should default to bundle install, which I think it is doing. Yep. Okay. So now that that's going to go, let's okay. So let's do some git status on this. Whoops. Git status, and we will git add the gem file. So git commit. I'm trying to stay on top of these commits here. Added the gem acts as votable for our voting feature. Okay, there we go. And good. All right, so what we will need to do is check on how to implement this. So we will close that, go over here. So we've done this, and now we need to generate the access votable migration and then db migrate. So simple enough. So we'll paste that in there. So it's going to create the model necessary to have this feature work, and then rake db migrate. And wait for this to run. Perfect. So now that that's run, we're going to get status, get add. So it's doing the schema in the migration file. So get commit. We'll just tell them what we did here. Added the new model and migration file for acts as votable. Good. Okay, next up. Now we just have to see, this is how easy it is. We're pretty much done that whole feature because all we have to do now is just pick the models we want to add voting to and just hit liked by and then some sort of a user. Now I wonder if I require the user. Can it be a default user? You can have your voters act as vote to provide some reserve functionality. Yeah, that's fine. Wonder if you, this may be an issue. We may still need the voter for this. Allow any model to vote. In other words, can I provide an easy votable models? Acts as votable. Here's some voting options liked by. I like it if you could, if you didn't have to put the user in. Votes up by user. Active record scopes provided to make life easier. Example with scopes. See, it's all. You can have your voters act as a voter. If a voter has voted on a model, you can use voted for. Okay, that's all fine, but I want to. I wonder if there's a search X as votable Rails without user. Right here, I'm trying to. The whole idea behind this gem was to allow anything to vote on anything, so there is not hard dependency on the user. You're determined. If you want to use the IP address to store votes, then maybe you can use the unique. Voter.likes. Uh, oh, I see. So this is hmm. Well, that's interesting. This might be a cool way to do it, is just do it in the session here. So I need a voter. So it isn't tied to the user at all. It's tied to the session. Hmm. Yeah, this is probably. Sorry, I'm just sort of really thinking here. Probably gonna do this quick because I sort of like that idea and it allows me to have anybody vote on anything and it keeps track of them even though there's no user account. So it's sort of it's cool, cool way of doing it. So in order to implement that, what we're going to need to do is do a Rails G model and call them a voter. So a voter is not a user. So a voter needs to have a see what they called it. It needs to have a field called voting ID. So voting ID, and that's going to be a integer, and that's going to be index. Actually, it should be a string, index. And how will this work? And also do a user. Wonder how that would work. Has one need a user ID? Rails has one. Oh. Um, yeah, I guess it would have a user ID, right? But it's not required, so I'm just going to say user ID integer. And there. So rake db migrate. Okay, so Let's do git add and git commit. So what we did was we added a voter model and migration. Good. Okay, so what we need to do is, where should we do this? We need a controller for voting. So let's add that. So we're going to do a Rails generate controller votes controller. All right, so let's go over here and what's going on here? Okay, so we're going to go into the controllers and say votes controller. So we're going to have a class vote up, and or not a class, a method vote up, and this is going to cookie.signed. What's cookies.signed, but I'm going to look up. Okay, let's see here. Set the permanent cookie, which expires in 20 years from now. Okay. And this is going to be voter ID. And so we'll just do Rails create unique ID. Oh, fuck. As ever, the solution described below is generate unique secure token. No, I just want to do a basic one. Can I not just do this? Boom. Okay. So where did this go? Okay. So I'm just going to do this. Hopefully that works fine. If cookies dot has key question mark voter ID, and then we're going to, if it has it, else. So we need to do this. Voter ID equals this, and then this, and then voter ID. So this is voter ID equals cookies dot signed voter ID. So now that we have that, what we can do is look up the voter. Let's just double check how they did it. Find or create by find or create by what do we call this again? Voter ID, I'm pretty sure. Voter. So here I'm going to probably just do a before action called get config nerd. And so this will be is going to set the that config nerd variable. But I can also do, just in case nothing is set, which wouldn't be the case here, but I could do def get config nerd, and then this will be at config nerd equals config nerd dot find or create. Let's see what the best way to do that is. Find or create first. First or create? First or create. With no attributes, first or create. think that's all I need. Yeah, it's first or create. Beauty. Uh, there we go. So then in the model, let's go over to, I'm just going to hit F5 here. So in the model, I have to go into config nerd and add this, going all the way back to the votable thing. So we did all that to be able to do this. And then access voter, we need to do that too. So we're going into the config. Is it still caching this? Come on now. Okay, so config. Nerd models. And pretty much all we're doing here is just access votable. And then we're going to go into the voter model. And here, whoops. What the hell happened there? There we go. Here we have to add in the other one, which is access voter. Right? So we got a voter and we got a votable. Both of those are good. And we have this controller. So the votes controller, is that what I called it? So the votes controller has a vote up, currently only. And that will be a post request. Does it need anything? This is all set based on the cookie. I really like this actually, because this is totally away from creating a user account. I don't really care about that as long as they can vote. So let's go into the routes here and add this route. So they can post to, oh, I got it right there. Users liked, so that's going to get destroyed here in a second. So post to liked, and that's not users. It's going to be votes, and then vote up as vote up. So save this, and then this is going to be let's just say vote controller. So votes controller, votes, yeah, I think that should work. What else am I doing here? So, okay, I got to go over to the user model. So, and I think I did something in there, user, no controller. Yeah, so I did all of this for nothing. So, let's get out of here. The user controller is useless. So let's go into the here and do remove app controllers and then user controller. Good. And then we should go into the user controller test. Did I do one of those? I did. This should really be we'll create a new file called tests controller votes controllers test, or we already have one. So we'll edit this and then we'll paste this in there. So this is votes controller test. And we don't even need this, boom, boom, and should update liked attribute. We don't need to sign in. Post to voted up, vote up. So we're going to say vote up should redirect from update liked if user not signed in. Well, we don't care if the user signed in, so this is a useless thing. And it's going to redirect to the root path, which is sort of what we forgot to do. So we're in the votes controller, and I spelled that wrong. And we need to redirect. So they did like it, now we need to redirect to back. Perfect. Let's check out guard for a second because we should have this running, and what does it say? Undefined PG column error column voters voter ID does not exist. What do we call it? Whoops. Okay, let's go into DB. Whoop, that's not DB. We'll just look at the migration because it's easy. And we call it voting ID. So this is the votes controller that it's complaining about, so we'll go into there. And vote, oh my god, I already forgot, but I'm pretty sure it was voting ID. Voting ID. Whoops. Okay. So we have the voting ID, voter ID, voter ID. I should just call it all voting ID. Whoops. Think word. So it's passing now. Okay, so we just called them all voting ID. Oh man, let's just switch it all out. Voter ID is voting ID. Okay, so let's go back to the votes test. Oops. I just want to run this for sanity. Okay, and go back to here. Everything looks to be passing. So we need to go into this and do get status. Let's see what I changed here so I keep this organized. So we did a votes controller, we did a votes helper, votes controller test. Okay, so we'll do a get add and we'll commit this all over to get commit, and we'll say moved voting action from user to voter model / controller. Okay, now we have to remove from the test directory controllers test users controller test. There we go. So that's done. Should check the user model, update liked true. Don't need any of this stuff. That whole we don't need that. Get liked count, don't need this. Whoops. Subscribes count does work there. Okay, so that's all good. This is going to cause some serious errors though. This add liked. Don't technically need this. Alright, so I'm going to see if I can just delete this easily. So we'll move from DB, migrations, so then there's um, 529, add like to users. So we remove that, perfect. Great, config nerds, access, that's all good. So what I should now do is run a test because there's going to be a lot of things that break here. Okay, so break test. The problem is the views won't work because those buttons aren't there. The test may run fine, but we're going to have to go in and just update the views to have those buttons act properly and to get the information from the correct spot now. But in order to do that, we should see what errors are here so we could fix those. Yes, get liked count. Okay, so the get liked count should be on the config nerd. So that's where we're going to go next. And that looks like all the errors are there, so that's very good. Okay, so we're going to go over here and say, go into config nerd model. And we'll say def get liked count. Just double check that's what it was called. Get liked count. Okay, so then how do we get liked? There's a pretty easy way with this gem. So votes size. So we'll say likes size. Okay. We'll be able to set, just wondering where we could do this. The controller will have access to a, okay, that's what we'll do. So I'm just going to paste this in there and say like size. That's all we need to do there. Where did we do the votes? I think we did the votes controller. We did get config nerd, so we don't need that. I'm going to split screen this and show you where we're going to put application. So the application controller can get this for every request. Whoops. So we can go up here and say, paste that there. So we got a before action get config nerd, and then here we can just do that. Do I need that in the... I don't think so. Okay. It did not like something, so let's see what it did not like. I think it's just still the same thing. Okay. So now we need to go into the views, and we're going to say the welcome view. This actually might be in the subs panel. Yeah, it is. So subs panel. Liked button does not have to be if user signed in. So let's go over to the helper, welcome helper, and liked button if current user liked. Interesting. So I'm going to have to change that. So the current user like check, that's going to be different. So this is post. And this is now vote up path. Okay. And then this is that. Yeah, so this is going to be not if current user signed in anymore. Just change that word from subscribe to sponsor. So liked button. So we need to find out if the current session has liked, which means we need to change this to change word to voter dot. Whoops. We need to change this to has liked. Okay, so we need to create a has liked thing on voter. Beauty. So this might actually work good. So voter dot models. So we'll do this def self dot has liked. Not in all capitals though. Def self dot has liked. If cookies dot signed dot has key voting ID. True. Whoops. Oh, frick. Okay, let's just do this one more time. Def self dot has voted question mark. If cookies dot signed dot has key question mark. Voting ID. So if it has this, that means that they have voted before, right? So then we can return, I think there's a thing where we can say, have they voted before? Here. So then we just have to do this, and then have this has voted for model. So we'll just pass in a model, and we'll say has voted for. So this isn't a user, this is a self. Oh no, wait, I need to get, oh I get it, I need to do voter. And then we just set a voter equals voter dot voter. So this is going to be voter dot find by, and this was going to be voting ID, voting ID. Oh, no, cookies. Signed voting ID. I think that's all we have to do because it's going to return nil anything else. So we just want it to be true. So that should be fine. But I do need to go into here and do the welcome helper because it has to be, has voted needs to pass. Oh, here. Voted, question mark, and that has to pass in the model, which is at config nerd. All right, let's see if any of this is working now. We did quite a bit there in this hour. This is quite a complicated little structure, but we've set it up so now we can vote on any model at any time, and user doesn't have to be signed in, but we still manage if they voted or not. It's pretty cool. So rig test. Oh, the get linked count is still a problem. So this is subs panel. Do this quick. Okay, so the get I'm guessing is that in the welcome controller? So in the welcome controller, is there? Oh, here, yeah. Voter. No, that's not in the voter. Where is this? Did I do that in config nerd? Ah, so this isn't there anymore. This can go back to here, and we're going to just pull it straight from the config nerd dot get liked count. There we go. That should work. Oh wait, okay. And we can run the rig test again. Apple or app voter. Oh, it's probably that's namespace error. Shit. Okay, so we need to go into the vote model. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Okay, I'm in the voter model, so has voted. I'm just gonna check that error one more time. Oh, I get it. So the voter, so it should know that I'm inside the model, so that's fine. I think that should work. Okay, so here, let's see if we can't get this to all clean up so we can finish off for the day. And this will be the voting redone the way that I like it, the way that I wanted it from the beginning. What is our new errors? Hurry up now, run the test. I could run through here and say, refresh. Probably need to restart the server after all those changes. We already have some errors here though. Liked button. Has voted. Cookies. Oh, that's weird. Can we not access the... Wonder if I need to do... I'm just going to check that error because I don't think I can access cookies inside the model. So, line 5, undefined cookies. Yeah, it's because I'm inside the model here. So I don't need... Let's get rid of all of this. Voting ID. Whoops. Alrighty, so all we need to do is now we need to pass in voting ID, and that's in the helper. Welcome helper. Has voted, question mark. So I'm pretty sure all I need to do is just pass in cookies dot signed voting ID. Yep, that should probably be all I need to do. Because you can't access session or view stuff from within the models. It's just, that's the compartmentalization, I guess, between it all. So that was all the same error for those 4. So hopefully now that I fix that, this will just pass. Nope. Syntax error. Voter. Models voter 5. So definitely did not like something there. Okay, so models voter. Oh, right there. "70 tests, 70 errors." Hmm. It's running both tests at the same time, so it's part of the error. That's part of the delay here. Now I can run this test. Likes, okay. Let's fix this now. Config nerd 5 get liked template error. So it says it's in config nerd models. So um, so the access votable should allow that to happen, allow that to work. You see this likes. Likes.size. Let's verify that we can do that. Votes.up. Maybe this is just the easier way to do it. Votes for. That should work. Rake test. Undefined local variable or method likes for configure nerd. Yeah, well, would it be voted for then? Okay, so maybe it's because we were doing voted. Voted or like what's for? Okay, let's try this. So that seemed to work. What was the coverage there? 98.53. Okay, so I want to go to the Rails S, exit out of here, and we will restart this so that everything is good. I'm going to run through here first because I want to check before I push it up. Okay, so we will restart this. Still says there's an error, which is weird. Oh no, it's working now. Never mind. Here's hoping. Now our coverage is not 100% anymore. Okay, so like this, you know, the button's there because we haven't liked it. Hopefully this works, but I can click this. This will turn to 1, and that should be green, hopefully, if everything works. So it went green, that went to 1. Now if I click it again, nothing happens. Good. It's the way I want it to. I liked this. Good. Excellent. Um, so it seems to be working perfectly, and I'm not signed in at all. Oh, wait, I am. Log out. I should still see this though. Yeah, and it says I like this. Perfect. Code coverage, the helpers. Welcome helper. What am I not hitting here? Oh, I'm not doing it if the person has not voted. Um, wonder if I can hit that real quick. Just gonna look at that, see if it's an easy change. So the voter what was that called? The vote controller test. Wonder why it wouldn't. Should update liked attribute. Where do I do that? Maybe I do it on the welcome controller test. User not liked. Oh, that's another thing I have to do is the fixtures users. I think I did. Okay, I didn't do that at all. Good. Okay, so this is not correct. Should get index no user, should get index. I can do it. User liked. So I can do post. Voted. Oh, I can't do it there. How do you set cookies inside the controller test? I'm going to do that quick. I can get this to work. I can do it. So Rails test unit set cookie. Pretty sure I can just do the same thing. Here we go. It's in here. Right here. I think I just have access to it. Um, so we'll do a at voter equals voters 1. Then cookies dot signed voting ID equals at voter dot voting ID. There. So now we just need a fixtures voters. There, I think that should work. All right, so let's go over here and run rake test. I wonder if we get 100% coverage off that. So we didn't hit it at all. Funny. Anyways, I've sort of run out of time here, but I'll have to look at that helper. Voting ID, cookies signed. Just okay. Whenever it's because of that sign thing, it shouldn't be. Voting ID. Anyways, thought it might have worked. Well, I need to actually sign it probably. Okay, so we need to do a at config nerd equals config nerds 1. I don't know how to, actually this is getting complicated. So for now, we won't worry about that yet because I got to take off for the day. But everything else is working out perfect tests, and so we will do a git status. See what we changed here. So we just updated the button. So we just did git add all of that, and we did a git. We'll do a git commit, and we'll say added the new voting function feature to views, replacing old implementation. There we go. Git push origin master. And we're done. So thank you a ton for watching. We accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish, replacing that entire voting feature to the new way of doing it. That way we can vote on things even if we're not signed in, and I'll keep track of it. and we'll be able to implement it very, very simply with one line of code to all the other models if we wish to in the future. So thanks for watching. Talk